The different body types. As I said in my previous video, I am a mesomorph that swings toward closer to the endomorph, so the middle one and the one on the far right. And the ectomorph is long and lean, and I'm going to get into that in a second as I cover that. So the mesomorph is a body type, according to Sheldon, I'm going to get into who William Sheldon is in a second. Okay, mesomorphs are typically strong and solid, not overweight or underweight. Their bodies may be characterized as rectangular in shape with an upright posture, square-shaped head, muscular chest and shoulders, large heart, muscular arms and legs, even weight distribution. Mesomorphs may have no trouble eating what they want, as they may lose weight easily. On the flip side, they may gain weight just as readily. Other body types, ectomorph is characterized by a small frame, meaning like thin wrists, tiny bones, and little body fat. People who have this body type may be long and lean with little body mass or with little muscle mass. They may have difficulty gaining weight and muscle no matter what they eat or do in the gym. Endomorph, characterized by higher body fat and less muscle. Endomorphs may appear round and soft. They may also put on pounds more easily. This doesn't necessarily mean that individuals with this body type are overweight. Rather, they're more likely to gain weight than those who have the other body types. Combination types, as I said, I'm a combination between a mesomorph and an ectomorph. So ecto-endomorphs are pear-shaped. Endo-ectomorphs are apple-shaped. Okay, and these are different diets. I don't really believe in the different diets, so I'm going to move on quickly, and we're going to see what's going on with some of the other stuff about who William Sheldon is. So this is the guy that created this. He is William Herbert Sheldon Jr. He was born on November 19th, 1898, in Warwick, Rhode Island. Died September 17th, 1977, alma mater, Brown University, yada yada, early work and education. William Herbert Sheldon Sr., a naturalist and animal breeder, and Mary Abbey Green, these are his parents, was a village midwife. His godfather was the noted psychologist and philosopher William James. He graduated from Warwick Veterans Memorial High School in 1915 and attended Brown University. After graduating, he worked in a range of fields before studying for his master's degree at the University of Colorado. Sheldon attended the University of Chicago and earned his PhD in 1925. He taught psychology at the University of Chicago and at the University of Wisconsin. He attended the University of Chicago Medical Center, receiving his medical doctorate in 1933. Gaining a 2-year fellowship in Europe allowed him to study under Carl Jung and visit Sigmund Freud and Ernst Kretschmer. After Europe, he moved to Harvard University in 1938. He served in the Army Medical Corps at lieutenant colonel rank in the Second World War. From 1947 to 1959, he was director of the Constitutional Laboratory at the Columbia University College of Physicians and Surgeons. He became a professor of medicine at the University of Oregon Medical School. Okay, his work, he's best known for the somatotype classification, and we just went through this, but this is the guy that created this. As you can see, he has, his qualifications are very good. Before Sheldon, there was a gentleman by the name of Cesare Lombroso. Cesare Lombroso was an Italian surgeon, and I'm going to get into who he was right now. Cesare Lombroso's theory of crime. Cesare Lombroso was born in 1835 in Verona in Italy. He was an Italian doctor who did research and wrote on a variety of topics, for example, mental diseases, scientific ways to study corpses, and brain pathology. But his most important work, and certainly the work that he's best known for today, is the book The Criminal Man. The Criminal Man, first published in 1876, Lombroso developed his theory of criminal anthropology to explain why people commit crime. His theory suggests that there are basic differences between offenders and non-offenders. More specifically, according to Lombroso, born criminals have certain physical characteristics or abnormalities that make them different. Okay, Cesare Lombroso called these abnormalities atavistic characteristics. So the atavistic characteristics, what you have to remember is atavism is going back to the more primal age. According to him, the physical abnormalities that offenders have occurred because offenders were the products of an earlier stage of human evolution, a stage where more primitive humans and apes existed. Thus, offenders are basically throwbacks to earlier phases of human history. Connected to the idea of atavistic characteristics is the idea of degeneration. According to Lombroso, offenders have certain physical and mental characteristics of primitive humans, and they commit crime because of these biological abnormalities. Okay, so these are the different shapes of faces of different offenders. Measuring the crime, the born criminal, Lombroso's ideas were based on his own research. One of the things that he is known for is that he conducted very detailed studies of people, and particularly studies of people's bodies. Different from many others who had gone before him, Lombroso started to directly study offenders and measure and document the characteristics of their bodies, meaning he was taking biometric measurements of their bodies. Over the course of his life, he and his students studied thousands. This is where the concept of physiognomy comes in. They studied different types of people, namely offenders and non-offenders, and also mentally ill people. And they not only studied people who were alive, but they also did autopsies on deceased people. For example, to study their skulls and their brains. Examples of things Lombroso measured were people's height, weight, the span of their arms, the average height of their body while seated, the sizes of their hands, necks, thighs, legs, and feet, their eye color, and so on. The atavistic form in crime. According to Lombroso, the offender was a special type of human being. An offender was not so much a non-normal human, but really a different type of human. This different type of human had a variety of physical characteristics that made him or her different from regular people. A couple of examples of these physical characteristics were the asymmetric face, a large jaw, excessively long arms, and epilepsy. People who had these characteristics were atavistic, and thus were criminal in nature. Lombroso even thought that one could recognize different types of offenders, with thieves having different physical characteristics than violent offenders. In the first edition of his book, Lombroso very much leaned on these physical characteristics and measurements to distinguish born offenders from non-offenders, and he used his atavistic theory to explain why some people were born offenders, but as he kept updating his book and published new editions of it, he added things to it. For example, he also took other factors that may be linked to criminal behavior into consideration, such as poverty, alcohol, and gangs. There were also more psychological characteristics that Lombroso associated with being an offender, such as a lack of feelings of remorse, or being cynical or impulsive. But these factors are not often connected to Lombroso because he devoted a lot of his work to biology and physical abnormalities. It's important to note, though, that a lot of the physical anomalies he was recording, we now know this because of brain scans and things like that. You can see the difference of brain size and brain shape and brain activity and how that correlates to different lack of empathy and things of that nature. Cesare Lombroso, the positivist school, and the Italian school of criminology. Cesare Lombroso is sometimes called the father of modern criminality or criminology, and he's often seen as the founder of the positivist school. The positivist school used measurements as a way to find evidence for causes of criminal behavior. In Lombroso's case, that was done with his measurement of people's physical characteristics. He was a well-known scholar in his time, and many people, both from Italy and abroad, visited him to discuss ideas and research with him. Lombroso was certainly not the only one who thought that physical characteristics were linked to criminal behavior. He had a lot of influence on other Italian criminologists. And together, these scholars were often called the Italian school of criminology. Cesare Lombroso did not agree at all with the idea of free will. So with the idea that people make decisions freely, the philosophy of free will was important in Italy at the time, but unlike philosophers like Beccaria and Bentham, Lombroso was much more interested in factors outside a person's free will that influence behavior, and he was not the only one. This was a time in history when Darwin's evolutionary theory was gaining popularity, and sociology was coming up, where it was thought that every society and every individual was affected by outside forces such as war and famine, and that wealth and class affected the way in which we live our lives. This, of course, challenged the idea that humans have free will. In other words, Lombroso wasn't an outlier. He fit right in with his time. In fact, he had significant influence on these ideas. Criticism on Cesare Lombroso. There's criticism, blah, blah, blah. You can read this on your own. I just wanted to go over who he was and what he thought. So in classic Hindu medicine called Ayurveda, there are body types also, and these are classified as follows. Ayurveda means the science of longevity. It is the science of how to live a long, healthy life. Ayu is the lifespan we spend with the body. The spirit is immortal. Okay, what is good for the body, what is unhealthy, what makes us happy, what makes us sad. This is what Ayurveda talks about. Okay, the body is made of 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Physiologically, these elements function as 3 biodynamic forces called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are, and there's also Akasha, but they don't include that. There's a 4th Akasha, which is space. These are called variously dhatus, substances, dosha, or parakriti, our natural constitution. What is the importance of knowing your Ayurvedic type? The 5 elements combined, blah. These 3 subtle energies govern all our life functions. So this is the Vata body type. Vata constitution is governed by the features of space and air. Generally, a Vata person will be very thin, more talkative, restless. They typically have a lower body weight, dry skin, brittle nails, thin hair, and small, slightly sunken eyes. While walking, their joints may make sounds. In terms of climate, they tend to prefer warm or hot weather. They may have trouble tolerating the cold. They have a hard time gaining weight. You'll notice that this is similar to an ectomorph, so they tend to be thin with a low weight. Vata is located in the abdomen below the navel, including the colon, pelvis, pelvic organs, besides the thighs, skin, ears, nervous system, and lungs. It is responsible for movement in the body and mind, sensory impulses, breath excretion, speech, and the pumping of blood. Okay, signs of a Vata imbalance: dryness and roughness of the skin, too much weight loss, emaciation, irregular bowel movements or constipation, pain in the bones and joints, flatulence, fear and restlessness, abnormal pulse rate, palpitation, preference for hot environment and surroundings. Diseases caused by Vata imbalance. So you see, I'm not saying that this is true, but this is traditional Ayurvedic medicine. You will see that people in ancient times were thinking about this just as much as people in the 20th century. So disorders in the muscles, joints, yada yada. Remedies for balancing Pitta: get to bed before 10 p.m. and rise at 6 a.m. Maintain a daily routine with regular times for eating, sleeping, and working. Drink warm beverages and eat freshly prepared warm whole foods. Eat foods that are naturally sweet, sour, and salty in taste. That means follow a sattvic diet. Use generous amounts of high-quality oil or ghee and warming spices like ginger, black pepper, cinnamon, and cumin in your daily diet. Avoid alcohol, caffeinated beverages, and chocolate. Incorporate regular exercise routine into your week. Pitta, you'll notice this is different. This is similar to the mesomorphic body type. So a Pitta person is generally active, good-looking, a perfectionist, dynamic, intelligent, and short-tempered. They may have leadership qualities, a moderate build, a smart personality, a sharp nose, and their eyes will also be sharp. sometimes offset with a slight pinkish tint due to the unfortunate ease with which a pitta person gets imbalanced. Hair loss and early graying are common. They are generally slightly warm to the touch, with rosy lips and pink nails with a slight curve. Though a combination of fire and water, it is more dominant with fire element. It is intensified during summers. The seat of pitta in the body is the small intestine, stomach, liver, spleen, gallbladder, blood, sweat glands, subcutaneous fat, eyes, and skin. It is responsible for stability in the body and mind. Signs of pitta imbalance: excessive heat, yellow coloration of skin, giddiness, weakness, reduced sleep, increased anger and agitation, burning sensation, excessive thirst, increased tendency of being a perfectionist, bitter taste in the mouth, bad breath, hot flashes. Diseases due to pitta imbalance: peptic ulcers, issues with the esophagus, skin disorders, fatigue, migraine, acid reflux, herpes, jaundice, bad breath, conjunctivitis, pharyngitis, dissatisfaction, stomatitis, fibromyalgia, redness of the skin, low blood sugar. Remedies for balancing pitta: maintain a daily routine with regular times of eating, sleeping, and working. Use ghee or clarified butter in your cooking. Drink 4 to 5 liters of warm or room temperature water every day. Keep company with people who are happy and positive. Meditation is the key to the happy mind. It helps to moderately difficult yogasanas can pacify pitta by increasing the blood circulation and detoxifying the body. Spend time in nature, be with plants, walk on the grass. Okay, this is kapha. You'll notice kapha is very similar to the endomorph. People with this kapha constitution are generally cool, calm, lazy, cheerful, stocky. If assigned a task, they never complete the task in time. Actually, Ayurveda says that because a kapha person is the least bothered, happiest type of person on the whole planet, the best constitution is kapha. They're cheerful all the time. Other qualities include a thick build, thick dark hair, big eyes with white around, and prominent shiny white teeth. The skin may also be thick, moist, and a little cool to the touch. Okay. Signs of kapha imbalance: anorexia, drowsiness, cough, respiratory disorders, obesity, sweet taste in the mouth, goiter, indigestion, hardening of blood vessels, loss of appetite, flu, sinusitis, bronchitis, disorders of the joints. Remedies for kapha: foods that are astringent, spicy, and bitter taste are conducive for keeping kapha under check. Dry and warm food helps too. Keeping the body active is a must for kapha personalities and ensures that they do not slip into lethargy and inertia. Regular practice of yoga helps keep keeping the energy high, keeping toxins away in the body active. The controlled and long breath taken during pranayama keeps the mind calm and increases the health of the lungs. Avoid sleep during the day, which can increase kapha. These are the 3 main Ayurvedic body types. You'll notice a great similarity between them and the body types of Sheldon. So what is biological positivism? The positivist school was founded by Cesare Lombroso and led by 2 others, Enrico Ferri and Raphael Garofalo, in criminology. Biological positivism: if Charles Darwin's theory of evolution was scientific as applied to animals, the same approach should be applied to man as an animal. Darwin's theory of evolution stated that new species would evolve by the process of evolution. It meant that creatures would adapt to their surroundings, and from that, a new species would be created over time. Biological positivism is the theory that takes an individual's characteristics and behavior that make up their genetic disposition as what causes them to be criminals. Biological positivism is the theory that, in theory, states that individuals are born criminals and some are not. Physical characteristics. Historically, medicine became interested in the problem of crime, producing studies of physiognomy and the science of phrenology. William Sheldon identified. Okay, so this goes to William Sheldon identified 3 basic body types of somatotypes, where each individual was placed. He concluded that delinquents tended to mesomorphy. Modern research might link physical size and athleticism and aggression because physically stronger people have the capacity to use violence with less chance of being hurt in any retaliation. Otherwise, such early research is no longer considered valid. Intelligence. There are a number of reputable studies that demonstrate a link between lower intelligence and criminality, but the evidence is equivocal. Other medical factors, testosterone, adrenaline, have the association. See, people that are mesomorphic tend to have higher testosterone, which has to do with the shape of the face, the muscle mass, things like that. That tends to be due to higher testosterone. Now, I consider this to be the new positivist school. This is called the biopsychosocial model, and it's used in medicine and in all forms of psychology and mental health and things like that. So biology, psychology, and socio-environmental factors. So this blends all of the parts of the positivist school, the biological, the psychological, and the sociological. The model specifically examines how these aspects play a role in topics ranging from health and disease to human development. The model was first advocated by George L. Engel in 1977 and has become an alternative to the biomedical dominance of many healthcare systems. Okay, this goes into the history of it, current model. 25 years after Engel's publication, the biopsychosocial model is still widely used as a psychological model. The biological, psychological, and social categories have expanded into bigger categories. Specifically, the social aspect has greatly expanded through ideas such as spirituality and culture, even though many psychologists may not completely accept this model as their own. It is known for interconnecting 3 important categories. Even if all aspects do not apply to the situation, the biopsychosocial model is widely used to organize one's thoughts. It shows that a person's problems are all connected and they may be more complex than previously imagined. Okay, and that's all for this video. I just wanted to get that out of the way.